Hello. We are live. By the way, you're echoing.
Oh shit. Um, how do I fucking turn down volume?
Don't worry about it.
I got it. I got it.
Anyway, I don't know if anyone's gonna watch it because of how late it is on my end.
There's got to be some fucking Yankee sadists out there that are looking for a good romp.
That's true.
Whenever
Well,
I'm about, I always end up fucking hurting someone's brain at some point, whether it's me saying something smart or saying something stupid, or both, in the
I'm
same
just
sentence.
I'm just going to share the link on multiple
Oh,
ends.
yeah, I should push it on my thing.
I'm doing on Twitter and now I'm gonna do it in a Discord.
I don't have any followers on Twitter, so that probably won't be fruitful.
Jason's video today was like, wow, like the, how the how capitalism, the how like dehumanizing it is to workers now is ridiculous. It's like disgusting. Like we're literally witnessing stuff that our great grandparents had to experience like a century ago.
Yeah, the Great Depression has come back around again. The specter of 1927. And we'll see the tendencies that we saw in the 1890s to fucking 1920, even before then. But like the main period where eugenics was the fucking hot thing. They called the disabled were the most expensive people in society to support, and you see throughout this time a lot of fucking mistreatment of the disabled, a lot of massacre of the disabled. I mean, we can look to fucking Nazi Germany 80 years ago on that front. But you also have, I mean, the British used to used to kill off people that were at a certain level of mentally retarded, or some other sluric way of accounting for these people. I can't remember what it was the way that they used to categorize it all, because I learnt about this like 4 or 5 years ago. But I've done a lot of done a lot of shit since then. Um, Fucked up. Can't remember.
Well, what's really fucked up about being disabled is how you know you're basically on the mercy of you know of multiple freaking government agencies, and you don't really have a choice at all. Now, as someone who lives in California, who has been here all his life, I'm gonna be dispelling myths about what it how about California, what it's like living in California as a disabled worker. Despite Californian workers who are disabled having more rights than they do in other states of the country, it doesn't really mean much when the kind of places that we can move to is limited. We're stuck in the most expensive state of the entire fucking country.
It's not like it's all just that simple either. Even if every state was like the same like basis of living, we've got to remember America doesn't work like a unified country. Every state is very hard locked, and trying to move. I mean, trying to travel over state is a pain in the ass, but trying to move state lines, good luck. I mean, Arizona is the worst for it, but Arizona's a great example of this at its fucking in the limelight, and what other counties are states are gonna take on. You can tell I'm too used to how small my country is compared to America, but the states are gonna start taking on the process of what's it organizing the people that Arizona's taken on, the heavy police state, the working with Nazis, the stronger borders, fuck off Facebook. But sorry, my thing went off. I always shout at notifications, so I don't want them. The what's it? trying to move out of these places is already hard enough as it is, but Arizona is showing where these places are going to deteriorate, and we've already seen action outside of Arizona, like that of Arizona with Rittenhouse, and things are going to sting up, and you will find that uh, you don't want to be a disabled person in Arizona. Because I mean, what you will if you find the anarchists, they'll treat you like fucking like they'll treat you with heaven, but you fucking come across those motherfucking motherfucking Nazis, and you're mega fucked.
Yeah, I don't feel safe, living in California as a disabled person, but I really don't have any choice because my, where am I going to move to? Where am I going to
You'd
move
have to
to?
end up trekking 4 states. Like you'd end up in Oregon or something, and fucking hell.
It's like my options are limited, and the people that are supposed to help this disabled people like myself, you know, we're in a rock and a hard place. Now, I'm not going to get into too much details of what's going on in my personal life because I prefer not to disclose that. But what's been going on in my personal life has made it so I, you know, can no longer put off, this topic. Sorry, Stone, I'm silencing you for a bit. And I can't put it off anymore. California is not a pleasant place to live unless you're rich or middle class. And the options for disabled people in California, especially, is very limited. I know I talked about disabled issues in another stream the other day, but I feel like Marxists don't talk about disabled issues enough.
Like
And I feel like uh, America is going to slowly adopt the British model at some point, and I could see that happening.
yeah, I mean the British disability model come from them deteriorating the disability living allowance system, which was a much stronger model. I mean, much stronger than even what America has today. I mean, with disability living allowance, if you had a lifelong condition, you motherfucking got it. Yeah, motherfucking got it. Um, and then when you got it, you you're not gonna get challenged. You're not gonna go for reassessments. You get the support you need. They help you with connections. Like it was much more integrated. The fucking what's it? The PIP system is disconnected from people, and it's not the government that does the assessing anymore. It's hired private workers for a private firm called Capita. What a fucking thing to name your disability firm off. And Capita is neoliberalism incarnate. They literally got some fucking mass investment company that just invests in loads of different things. Hello, Jared. They invest in many different aspects of society. I mean, half of the NHS's workers are not trained medical staff. They're agency workers from Capita. Capita has a lot of deals with the British government for the NHS because it won the competitions for those deals. The NHS itself struggles to help disabled people too because NHS, um, because of the way the system works, you have to compete with other departments for funding. And if you lose, you lose. But if the other department gets more funding than they need, they don't have to give it back. They can keep it for the department. Which, I mean, that just ends up with someone saying they bought more things than they did and taking some fucking money home. Or even if they don't, they're still robbing other departments of money that they could fucking use. And this causes massive crisis and long waiting lists and long times in the disability system. Well, if you have a permanent condition, they will score you 0 on the tests because they know that if you appeal it, you'll get it. And that's it, justice solved. But if you don't appeal it, you lose it, and that's it. They've done a part of their job of restricting the amount of people that get on benefits, and they also look to the way you dress and behave. And if you look trampy, they'll think, oh well, you look like a smackhead, so then you're obviously just a drug addict. You're obviously just a slob. Like fucking, it's ridiculous. But if you dress too sharply and you're someone who's got too much respect for yourself now, like you have to live in this fucking uh, par- what's the fucking what's between life and death? I can't remember the word.
I can't
Um,
think. I don't. I can't think. Look,
fuck. Where are the fucking where are the fucking words now? But the system. Yeah, capitalism
well,
discriminates against those disabled. The system is designed to beat you down. Purgatory. I mean, the thing. So the thing is the the system is very much pack loaded with eugenics. Yes, that eugenics as a scientific tree may have been denounced, but the way that they operate and treat people, it's like mixing eugenics with the South African model of race classification, where it's not so much classified on this solely biological or physically measurable scale. It's flexible in the way that they assess and analyze people, and it allows people to just plant any idea that they want on any person they want. I mean, autistic people are a very large victim of this, especially, weirdly enough, high functioning autistic people. Now, you'd think it'd be the low functioning people that get fucked over in this regard, but they get fucked over in loads of other regards. Like, they get mugged over. That's a different thing, and I ain't gonna try and squash down their struggle. They go through harsh shit, especially with the carer system. But with the high functioning autistic people, it's not being able to get any support and having support taken away from you because you may sound somewhat capable, somewhat intelligent. I mean, one of the problems that's always plagued me is that. Um, so autistic savantism is when you have a specific hyperfixation that produces a higher quality of sort of work out of it than anything else you do. It's something that you are ridiculously professional at for fucking oh knows what reason, because no one can seem to fucking figure it out. But my savantic tendencies are surrounded around sociological analysis and looking at um, looking at the way which we interact with each other, so psychology and sociology. I mean, I read maybe two or three papers on psychology, but I could fucking sit here and talk hours about it. I've psychoanalyzed so many people because I had to learn to help people because they kept coming to me with their problems, and what could I do other than learn from my experience on how to behave? And then when I come to see other things later in life that teach me loads of stuff, it's great. I was denied benefits from the state 8 times in court. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I know a friend of mine
Oh, man.
that was denied benefits because they said he wasn't retarded enough.
Like,
Uh,
this
my
shit.
br- my brother, yeah, my sister actually fought for his benefits. He was denied, at least a few times because they didn't think he was retarded enough. And
Fucking.
and another thing about being disabled is when they're doing a reassessment, because that's what they essentially did to me, because they put the place in a location where I can't possibly get to without without a car. And this is just another way of reinforcing the class dynamics.
Yeah.
Like if they ask certain questions, like yesterday I was asked, did I drive there or did I take a bus or did someone take me there? I guess that's determined, if you're capable of,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
if you drive there, you fail. Genuinely. Unless you've got, like, specific aids in the car that show that driving for you is an extremely extraneous task, they'll use it against you.
well, the thing is, I can't drive. And
No,
one of
you
my
won't.
disabilities is not. It has nothing to do with my autism. It has to do with my eyesight.
So,
Without my glasses, I'd argue even with my glasses, my eyesight is an obstacle
well,
that would prevent me from being able to own a car.
my eyesight, because of my autism, my hypersensitivity to light is really bad, and I don't know whether I trust myself with how glary roads can be in the daytime and how bashingly with bright motherfucking lights you're gonna get in the nighttime. But the what's it? Uh, what was I gonna say? Shit. Oh yeah. So not the last time an assessment for disability, which I got denied very recently. the time before that, I went in. Now I gotta go in there and I gotta talk about stuff that I don't want to talk about in front of my mother. And my mother was the only person I could get to take me down there, so I had to leave her in the waiting room. They used it against me. Mind you, I was not only a rambling mess, but here's the thing that any of you's ever had a lot of assessments in your life will know that it's scummy, and I'm ashamed that it took me until I was on my way home to realize, but it's because I'm suffering with fibromyalgia and autism, so fight or flight response is a permanent state of being. Fibromyalgia is a permanent state of fight or fight, so I'm either fighting the situation and just babbling what I have onto the table, or I'm fucking out of there because I just want to fucking go. Probably get higher, some fucking stupid shit, something that'll calm me down from the situation. But
Well,
the is the thing. Um, they used that against me, but they also did this thing that anyone who's had to go through all of this, understand how scummy this is, who have to go through a lot of meetings. They turned around and said, "We are done here. That's all we need." Now, anyone who goes with an assessment will know that when they're assessing your history of your disability, and I was not even a third through, which I even said that, and they confirmed that no, we're done. Like, so even my battle bag didn't really change anything, so fucking A. But I was barely a third into my shit, and they ended the fucking discussion and told me to go home. You can't. They're not supposed to be able to do that. That's supposed to be the end when you fucking got all the shit down on the fucking paper. This is supposed to be for my fucking disability allowance, not a fucking, not fucking. Oh yeah, we just want you to make a sob story in fucking 30 minutes, and if it's not fucking shorter than 30 minutes, then we're gonna fucking end it because fucking don't give enough time for a proper fucking appointment to discuss these fucking things. Apparently.
well, but the thing with this reassessment, like the people that are supposed to help me, they do the stereotypical, oh, they're doing this to make sure that you're disabled, and it's like, no, it's not about making sure that you're disabled. They know that you're disabled. This
But
is all
finding a
about
way to see that you're not.
this is all about power and control. This has nothing to do with my disabilities. They know
Well,
I'm disabled. They know it based on my
you know
interaction
what? You
with
know what
them.
it is. When they put you under stress, they know that you can bring out behaviors that they can say is not is evidence that you're not. They genuinely are looking to trip you up, because everyone can trip up, even people who are in the worst of suffering. You could fucking miss a leg and you'll still fucking trip up and lose your fucking disability pay because they'll find some way to fuck it out under the rug of you.
Well, I can't speak for the British experience. I'm speaking from the American experience, and I can't say what it's like in other states of America.
I
But
just imagine they're using the same psychological studies.
well, to me, I personally just think it's all about power. They want you to go through all these hoops as much as possible because they don't want you to get your benefits back, and they're going to make you fight every step of the way to get them back.
Oh, it's worse than that. It's because a lot of people will die in the process, and that means less people to have to pay for. And I'm not joking. We lose a lot of disabled people because of them not being able to get their benefits. Like, fuck me, I might be getting denied it every fucking time, but at least I'm not fucking on the streets and getting denied it. At least I'm not, like, 70 years old with a really, really extreme heart or lung condition that cripples their capacity to function, and I'm not getting the fucking support I need. Like, I'm in a younger age state. I'm fucking, I'm 23. I managed to survive on the streets. I managed to survive for stuff like this. So I understand that, as much as I shouldn't just roll over on the plate, and I'm not going to, I gotta take heed and respect that my disabled brothers and sisters of all ages are fucking. There's more of them who are in harsher struggle than me than there are who aren't. And what's it? That's something that must always be respected.
And the thing that's
You better
really
be back.
that's really stressful about these situations is, you know, no matter what you say and no matter what you do, you can't do anything that's right with these workers that are supposed to be helping you. Now, I'm not going to be naming the program that I'm a part of because I'm not doxing myself, but they're supposed to be helping me, and the advice they're giving me is just, oh, be prepared to be discharged or entering another program. It's like, as it is, I'm freaking, have to compromise whatever I fucking believe or what I in order to survive. And nobody knows what it's like to be a fucking lumpin disabled person. And it's bad enough these so-called Marxists are claiming that I'm not fucking, a worker, even though that's bullshit. Fucking,
Yeah,
it's bad enough that I work in a bourgeois fucking environment with people that don't fucking, you know, understand, the struggles that I'm going through. But I'm dealing with fucking so-called Marxists who don't actually care. It's like the disabled issue is something we should be talking about more. And the fact that barely anyone's talking about it, it's like, why is MRN the only network that's talking about disabled issues? Why? There's people with bigger platforms that can bring this stuff into attention.
oh man,
Why
the
won't
bigger
they do it?
platforms don't want to
What?
do something that won't
Oh,
sell.
oh, I was about to say something about according to that. It's like Trav could bring attention to this. He has a big enough platform, but he won't do it.
He doesn't like for disabled people.
He could bring
doesn't like
attention. He
doesn't
could
like
bring it.
autistic people, and certainly likes to take the piss out of hypersensitive overloads. Funny
He could take.
geezer.
He could
Funny
bring.
geezer.
He could bring attention to this. He won't. Um,
It's a decision not to.
I know. Um, you know, Caleb could do it too if he wanted to, but why would I want Caleb to do it? He probably would find a way to paint us as, as
Oh no, you
monsters.
just talk about the middle class disabled. He would like he just wouldn't even speak with lump and disabled people. It'd be
Eh,
it's a story on the lump and disabled, and it's not.
As far as I don't really, I'm not, I know this sounds harsh, and I do have empathy for disabled people. I don't fucking care about the middle class disabled. I know that sounds harsh, but they don't have it nearly as
They
bad. They don't
seem
have,
pretty able to me. Fucking hell, like they're overcoming their shit pretty fucking well. Like
because
I'll take their healthcare plan. They can have mine. But one thing
these
Garrett said that was pretty right on is the reason why is because they're bought off by suits and are labor aristocrats. Sounds like something that fell straight out of my mouth. I love it.
it's just these people, like, are middle class disabled people really disabled? Because these programs that I'm talking about in California, they're not. Nobody is in the middle class. The adults that are in them, it's all the poor because their
Yeah,
parents are, cannot take care of them because, they're it's too
a
expensive for
lot
them.
of them as well. A lot of these people are their parents have recently passed away and they've been struggling with surviving and needing support of their parents. Like a lot of them have lost both of their parents in recent time, have nothing left, and this program is like the one thing that's tying them to getting anywhere. Because you got to understand that the reason why a lot of disabled people go on these programs is not working is fucking hell. It drives you insane because you're
It,
not producing anything valuable with your life, and you're just withering away, and you're a menace to anyone around you because you're around enough that you're always going to irritate. Um,
they make you feel It makes you feel worthless. Now, I can't speak from experience because I've been working even before I got into these programs. But the thing I will say though is you will not see a middle class disabled person in the programs that I'm part of. It's designed for the poor. It's another way for the to control the poor because the disabled. I don't care what anyone says. If you are disabled and you're in these programs that I'm in, you are going to be in poverty until the day you die. And it's an unfortunate fact. And the fact that we have to, you know, compromise from time to time in order to survive is something that none of these people can comprehend. None. I mean, I don't understand how my former co-host could not have comprehended this, but I'm not going to talk about him here, but I think it's relevant because disabled issues are something that I've been passionate about for a very long time. Because when you're part of the system you know, it does a lot of psychological damage. I mean, look at how mentally fucked up majority of disabled people in these programs are. I'm like, if they're so fucked up, you know, why? Well, look at how America treats them. Like
Well, this is
if you're not like functional enough to be able to you know do the basic things like what America considers normal people, you're just considered worthless. You're considered a leech. You're considered retarded. You're considered as someone that doesn't have much value, and that the world will be better off without. I mean, why do you think these these employers that hire most of these people, why do they take advantage of them? Why do they treat them like shit? It's because they know they can get away with it because the disabled can't fight back because they have nowhere else to go. Like on my job, I can't even I'm not going to mention half the stuff that I go through on my job, but it's so bourgeois that I don't feel like I belong, and they do that on purpose. If you are like myself, who is politically, aware, and you're class conscious, it's even the experience is more isolating. I mean, the most
do you know
isolated
what?
people, the most
Do you know
isolated
what?
people, hold on, the most isolated people of society are the disabled. Unless you've experienced what I've experienced or other disabled people have experienced, you will never understand how difficult it is to be a disabled worker under capitalism. It lies.
Yeah.
California, oh, good. We may have more rights in California than the disabled, but what they forget to mention is the cost of living. It's not going anything but up. Like it's becoming more and more difficult to live where I currently live in California because of how the cost of living. And I know your stereotypical, right winger will say, "Oh, if it's too expensive, you should move." It's so easy for a middle class aristocrat to tell a poor lumpin person to move when you've never actually experienced what I've experienced. And I don't fucking care if some of these people are fucking, have what I have. Being autistic in the middle class is nowhere near as bad as being autistic in the lower classes because
Funny you mentioned that. So, the aristocracy, they foster a condition where a lot of the negative sides of autism doesn't tend to crop up. It can, and it does, because trauma is the driving force for it. But think about it. You're growing up in the ivory tower of fucking wank shit that they grow up in. Um, a lot less of the negative conditions would rise up. They do, however, get more of the social alienation issues, obviously because of the individualism of the labor aristocracy and growing up in capitalist realism and its consumerist culture. But there's something I wanted to mention on a prior thing you mentioned. So yeah, Marxists don't give a shit when it seems to it for the most part. But there is one group of Marxists that do, and I can't ignore it, and that's the African Marxists, especially African Marxists in America. They actively talk about disabled struggles as much as they possibly can. Unfortunately, their voices end up being the ones that are silenced the most
and
because YouTube, like any other fucking organization that's ever held any voices of any black people, will always go and choose to elevate pork chop nationalists or white supporters, people supporting the white regime. The people who are revolutionary African socialists, they're completely silenced and suppressed as
wait,
much as possible.
you want to know what's ironic? What these neo Marxists and Khrushchevites and Trotskyites label as ultras are the ones that care about disabled issues. It's the Maoists and the anarchists that care about the disabled. I don't
Oh
see.
yeah, anarchists have got a great repertoire with the disabled. Fucking hell, I didn't even think
I
about
don't.
that.
I don't see modern MLs caring about disabled people. Of course, I don't even want to call them MLs. I'll just call them fucking what they really are: Khrushchevites, Trotskyists.
Corn Pop was a bad dude. Actually works better with Khrushchev. That does Joe Biden is just born in the wrong era. Like I guarantee he wishes he was born in 1920 and fucking what's it praise to fucking uh, Sigmund Freud. I don't fucking know. I don't know where the joke was going. Fucking leave me alone.
Well, this isn't just me whining about me, me, me. This is just me using my experiences of going through the struggle as a disabled worker to bring this out in the open because
Well, I mean, there's a thing that I've dealt with that's very similar to where you're riding with. So, when I've ever expressed a Marxist to try and deal with things in a certain way to help mitigate some of the contradictions that arise from my disabilities in certain situations. Basically, what it turns into is it's like, oh well, we'd have to start doing that for everyone. You got to make a calculus. Well, I'm not the only autistic person. Like, if there's ways to improve the way you treat people for autistic people, you can't say that's walking on eggshells because most of the time it's not. So most of the requests I ever make of anyone is to just, when a situation is flaring up and I'm overreacting, the best way to deal with me is to not also overreact. It's best to be calm because I can't keep overreacting at calm people. If the and not calm and fucking sarky because I can fucking read emotions. Don't be a fucking ableist prick. Calm and fucking respectful, and I'll cool down because I'm obviously them being hysterical will recognize it and hope the manic reaction will drop because bipolar and autism together are a fucking nightmare. Oh, manic depression's the better name. Fucking bipolar always gets fucking mischaracterized as dual emotions and not what it is, which is dual mental states. But no, that's
now
it. They don't want
I'm
to
not
improve the conditions around these people. Sorry.
I'm not saying this because I hate MLs. I don't. I mean, there's good ones like Danky who
He's
actually
fucking borderline Maoist at this point. We just need to drop some books on his shoulders.
who generally does care about working class people. And I'm just gonna say it for all the class reductionists out there. Disabled issues are working class issues. And
Danky's been through a struggle of his own as well, and I got respect for him as a fucking brother of struggle. So, absolutely.
it is working class issues because being a disabled worker is very hard in capitalism, especially. And I'm speaking as from my experiences in America.
The
My
black
current job,
proletariat and the disabled proletariat are disenfranchised, which should make them lumpin proletariat.
like, here's the thing: like my friend, he worked at the job that I currently work at. I'm not going to say the company's name. They fired him after 2 days because I can't say because he told me that because he wasn't able to do all the physical work, which I actually think it was something else. It's because the way he looked, he wasn't their ideal worker.
God, it's like when they fire people for having like slightly visible tattoos. It's like I couldn't give a
He
shit if
he
someone ordered me with full tattoos. Like they could only be to stop fucking labor aristocrats from throwing a hissy fit because a guy wearing tattoos or maybe had piercings is
he
fucking
doesn't
there. Oh
he
no, he might influence me kids because he served them food at McDonald's. Like fucking
he
hell.
he, he,
As if
he
your kids are looking for inspiration at the McDonald's fucking
well,
cat
he doesn't
checkout.
well he doesn't have tattoos. It's just
No,
he
but
was
it is that level of shit. You know what
it
I
was
mean?
he was as clean looking as you could possibly get, you know. But they fired him because he wasn't able to do certain jobs, you know, as well as some of the other workers. They never gave him a chance to actually get used to the job because it was the first time he was doing physical work. And not to mention this, my friend's knees are fucked up. It's like almost all my friends are lumping, so I know what lumping struggles are like because I talk to them all the time who deal with these issues. I mean, one of my friends is, he's so mentally screwed up he can't hold a job because of his PTSD and his anxiety.
I feel you. I feel you.
My
It's the PTSD is one of the most crippling dissociative identity disorders. Yet people see it as one of the weakest,
one of the
or
things
and some
that
other people see it as something only soldiers get.
one of the things that prevents me from being able to work a full-time job is my anxiety around people and around doing stuff that's really really stressful. Now if we under a different system, socialism, all these problems that the disabled are going through wouldn't be disabilities at all. we they manifest themselves as disabilities because of capitalism's like impossible expectations, on the population. We're expected to be mindless working machines that do nothing but work, 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 work until our bodies can't function anymore. The disabled aren't capable of doing this. We're not capable of actually dealing with this is because, you know, especially if you're autistic and you are a high functioning one, it's like wait, this is bullshit. And that's, you know, what I
I mean,
think. I mean, why are we doing things this way? Why can't we do it that way? It's like I can't get too detailed with what I do on my job.
there is a logic here that I like comes from that neurotypical logic. I feel because this happened with I think it was one IV source, but I don't know. It was on autism, and it was going on about like one of the components of autism, which is the left side of the brain is more highly active, which causes a higher analytical capacity and function, and it causes the brain to go into overdrive on the left side, and it basically everything that it sees it has to break down. Like it's one of them things where you can't help but break down everything and anything that you come across and fell across, and you get heavily intrigued everything, and ADHD heavily drives onto this because the drop in dopamine makes you need that too. So um um, can't remember where I was going. Um,
What
autism is for the most part not very disabling. So yeah, yeah, no, that's it. I remember where I was going. Fucking had a brain fog moment there. Fibromyalgia and autism and ADHD cause brain fog. So this video turned around and said it was a bad thing that this part of the brain makes them break everything down to its base components, and I was like, what? That how is that a negative? That's fucking that's good stuff, is it not? Like if they're more encouraged to break things down for what they are absolutely analyzing things on a dialectical basis because you cannot analyze things in a multifaceted way without it being dialectical because
well,
dialectics is the relation of things to
let's
things, to put it in the layman's
let's
term.
be honest. The real reason they do that because autistic people are more likely to be communists. That's why they frame us as
There's a
freaks.
lot of fucking autistic Nazis too. Don't get that fucking wrong.
I I know that, but the, but they frame us as freaks or or a menace to society because we overly analyze stuff. But that's not the point here. This is not a disability, but it's
Oh,
only a
Red Dawn,
disability.
that hit like in such a beautiful way.
It's only a disability under capitalism because we are forced to behave in a way that's unnatural. This is not a natural system that we have to live under. We're under constant fight or fright mode. We can't, you know, just sit around and relax for one fucking day because we constantly look over our shoulders. If I say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, I could lose everything. Like we constantly have to choose our words carefully. We constantly have to say yes sir, no sir, be play nice. We can't lose our temper because our temper is used against us. It's been used against me in the past.
I mean, what's it? Just because I was using swear words to pass my words while I was stressfully trying to unravel, not swearing directly, swearing to pass my words, I got kicked out of the hospital so a week ago on Saturday at 12:30 at night with a dead phone. 250 milliliters of water, and I know I suffer with fucking fibromyalgia and thyroiditis, so I got fucking dehydration issues. I got no food on me, and I can't get anywhere fucking home because I'm in a completely different town that I'm not familiar with. I've been there once on my own before, and I had to use Google Maps to travel it. That time I had to use Google Maps to travel it again. I got lost in the same way I got lost the first time I traveled there in both directions, which was a weird situation because my memory just couldn't fucking pick myself around it. Um, but uh, yeah, Einstein was autistic. I mean, there was a study my mate was telling me about that we would the reason it come up is I was telling him about the empathic study that I read that fucking had vanished, and then he brought up a study he'd read that had vanished, which is really peculiar to me. And I did hear from another comrade that they do censor a lot of shit in the discussions around mental health and neurological conditions and other the whatnot like that because they like to have a set narrative that fits the line of how they operate. I mean, they've got drug markets to satisfy. They can't fucking disrupt the chain. Um, uh, we are a communal species, absolutely. We've always lived communally. Um, Capitalism is inhuman. This is the issue: is that it's the societies that preach humanism that always end up being the most inhumane. Like they fucking they pillage, they plunder. It's white man is human, everyone is fucking servant, and they plundered the world with that message as long as they fucking could. And as soon as it got sour for the people at home, they just tweaked it. Seriously, look at the way they frame the world. Does it really change all too much, or they just use different words? They're still framing it in the same direction. It's still that racist directive.
Like, if any other country treated the disabled as bad as America, Americans would like, oh my god, look how evil this and this country is. But when it happens here, it's like crickets.
I mean, like coronavirus within a year, due to medical denial of medical aid and proper health care, denial of care aid, do not resuscitate orders on disabled and elderly people that went under with the coronavirus, ordered in by Matt Hancock, and we actually got a leak straight from the cabinet of the Conservative Party when he got kicked out of the Conservative Party and threw a hissy fit about that situation. And we know absolutely that yes, the hospitals around the country of Great Britain were ordered to put down disabled people if they were to go under from the coronavirus and not to save their life. Do not resuscitate. 100,000 people within a year had, had been killed within the disabled and elderly community. I mean, elderly people are essentially disabled anyway, so.
And
And this was indiscriminate disability. Any disability. You got fucking autism, you got ADHD, you got anything that says disability next to it, you're fucking gone. It's not even like they're doing it because like they're doing some weird like specific eugenics where they're picking out specifically weak people. No, they're just genuinely unilateral.
capitalism encourages people to hate the disabled. They, I mean, look at how disabled people are treated on in entertainment. Like they're usually like the villains of stories. I mean, look no further than Batman.
Oh
Like
Jesus.
it's like since becoming a communist, it has ruined the Batman for me. Like if you think about it,
Same with Iron Man.
every villain Batman, in some capacity, suffers from a mental illness.
Yeah. Actually, it's weird as well. It's very much seems intentional because they all seem to represent a specific mental illness as well. It's one of the things I really kind of like about the Batman villains is that they are very intricate characters. And to be honest, when you look at the community, most people aren't watching it for Batman; they're watching it for the villains. Let's be real. And
Well,
not
the
even because they
villain,
want them to win; it's just because they're very interesting characters.
well, they all have certain, they all have certain issues. Like it just to me, I just consider like the very thing that Batman represents to be reprehensible.
He is a scummy fucker. That's the way I put it.
Well, I'm just saying using Batman as an example because the disabled are portrayed as you know are dangerous and people we need to look after. Look, you do have people that are compassionate towards the disabled under capitalism, at least in society, but that's individuals. As a whole, people are discouraged from having any, you know, any empathy for the disabled unless they're one of the good ones.
Yeah, nah, yeah. I mean, like it's that cherry picking shit they do, where they want that ideal lower aristocrat disabled person where they can at least babble to their struggle is as bad as those who are on the streets. Like fucking, I'm in a worse off position than those lower aristocrat fuckers, and I won't fucking babble myself as low as fucking people who are struggling on the streets because they're going through the most arduous struggle of all.
Well, I think my dad is disabled, and he has never accepted it. He's never been able to hold a job.
That comes with an issue of gender culture. It's not seen as a manly thing to be disabled, like quite literally.
In
So
fact, I think a lot of my problems with my disabilities I might have inherited from my dad more than my mom.
well, I mean, what's it? Mothers do pass things on easier than fathers, though. But the thing is that my father, I think that the reason why he didn't want to accept I was disabled was because of that reason. And I think he had this like hope that if I can just got through, I could get into something academic and pass it. But that's ignoring the fact that my disability is not just physical; it's also cognitive. What's it? Fucking can't write down. Fucking like when it comes to sixth form, it really blared out to me because when you have to sit down and write a like a task sheet for stuff, and you gotta draw out blueprints in my engineering classes and fucking in the which I couldn't do for fucking shit. CAD is like a fucking space age thing to me. Just give me a pen and fucking paper. I can do isometric drawings, um, I, as long as I've got a ruler. Um, but the what's it? Um, fucking sociology. Trying to it's like write a paper on this. Even when I was because sociology class was when I was not long after I'd had acid and my head was fucked and I was all over the place. I was just sat, sort of dazed. I think I was stoned off my tree in sociology, and then the shitty thing. I know it's shitty now because I fucking know better about Marxism, but the Mario Marx fucking thing. I was shown that, and I was like, whoa, this guy's saying all the fucking right shit. My dad went through all this toil and crap and has been a hard worker all his life. Well, it was mad stuff. Um,
What it's just my whole purpose of these streams when it bring issues to the disabled struggle. It's not for pity or to feel sorry for me. It's to do what most Marxists refuse to do and bring attention to the disabled struggles. Because why is it that the Marxists that are so-called ultras by the Caleb cult and Haas and B level, why are we the only ones that bring this to the attention that needs to be addressed? Because simply being black in capitalism could be disabled in a way because you're a disadvantage from the very start. Even
yeah, I
worse
mean,
than
so this is
even
one thing.
worse. Hold on, even worse than someone like myself. If I were black and I were disabled, things would be even worse for me than they are now.
Oh
And
yeah,
that
fucking hell.
and that's the
Or
thing.
be native on and have to try and survive on res third world conditions with America encroaching on your land every fucking time, and not every res is everyone supporting each other because in those environments it can turn into a nasty situation like it's third world to shit, gang violence up the teat. The situation the natives have been placed in by the American imperialists, the settler colonialists of Britain, France, Spain, and even Germany and all sorts of fucking different places. I think it was even Chinese. There's a lot of people that settled America, okay? But the what's it? Gestative natures aside, um, they constantly bashing these places into the ground. Like it's not like they're just third world pockets in America. They're third world pockets that are constantly under siege. The genocide never ended.
Well, the reason why the black community brings these issues up because they can empathize and with the disabled because you know they're in the same position.
Do you know it's even bigger than that? And I learnt this from an African lives in America. Or I don't know so well anymore because we fell out, and it's unfortunate. But he's a good lad, and he was telling me about he's actually telling me about what's his name, Deadman, and he's telling me about what Deadman does, talking about disability and all this stuff like that. And it's sort of the thing that brings Africans together with disabled people is the eugenics and the fact that eugenics is still pushed against both populations. I was dealing with someone today who was saying in like fucking the skull size shit and other whack crap like that.
If I'm just gonna address another thing. I know that people that Caleb and his group, stock these videos of us. Don't think I don't know. The reason why I consider people like that, no different than the Nazis, because look at how the Nazis viewed the disabled. Look at how Caleb and his freaking community view the disabled. How do I know that they wouldn't freaking do that what the Nazis did? How do I do, and I knowing as a disabled person, I don't trust people like that. Not to do what the Republicans and Democrats have been wanting to do for generations. And no, they're not going to wipe out the disabled like the Nazis do. They're going to do it through other ways. They're going to do it by cutting people's benefits and hoping that they die, and those that die are less people that are being paid benefits. That's the whole reason they do these reassessments in the first place.
Yeah, they're trying to they're culling the herd. It's a constant move that this system has done time and time again. When it gets into crisis, it culls the fucking herd. Anyone that can be straggled off, they get rid of them. Coronavirus was a blessing to them. Do you not see how a virus that was sanctioned by several world governments, including the British, the Americans, and the Chinese, to be researched and developed upon, where they were merging loads of viruses together because they were doing it for a mining project, because miners were getting ill. Which is
What
not.
the
It sounds like a somewhat noble cause. They're just trying to stop miners getting killed. But the
what
fucking
the
what's it?
hold on? What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are the? I don't even not even familiar with that site.
Fucking
I wouldn't be. I'm not shocked. I mean, I have enemies in the Star Wars fandom. Freaking, I have enemies in the so-called Marxist community,
kiwi.
fascists. So I don't fucking care,
Don't
honestly.
ruin kiwis for me. They're really nice fruits.
What the fuck is a kiwi farms form?
I don't. They must farm kiwis. Which if that's all you do, then noble work. Keep farming kiwis for us. They're very nice fruits. But if it's just some silly fucking name, well, don't ruin kiwis for me, fam. That's not cool.
Well, well, I'm not gonna even comment on it anymore. But the the fact is that my concerns about what these groups represent is valid. It's like, why is it that it's the black, indigenous, and the disabled communities in general? Why do we oppose you know China and the people that support them the most? It's because
I mean,
those
pretty much
countries.
everyone in the poor in the first world doesn't like China. That's why I find the Dengis funny.
It's like, what? Why would you expect us to trust China? Even those who may be skeptical of China, we have good reasons for being skeptical. I mean, like, I don't know if you know this, but there, of course, this is not like knowledge that is unknown. There's some places in my state that's owned by fucking Chinese companies.
And not only that, China puts a lot of money into funding money into influencers, and they even go for fucking YouTubers. Because I know someone who was offered fucking shit before. To weirdly, the thing that they went straight for was, could you cover the Uyghur crisis thing and tell them that everything's okay, not to worry about it. So, bit spooky on that one. But
I don't even
here's
want
the
to.
thing. I want to get to the point of what I was getting at earlier. So, so they're all working together to do this virus. It gets out. China must have known since October, really. Like, they fucking December seems weird. Like, why would you fucking they? Why would it be all the way around the fucking like more the state of fucking I can't remember the name of the fucking state. Does anyone remember it was fucking ah shit? I can't remember the fucking Chinese state that the fucking uh well district or whatever the fuck they call it autonomous region was. Sadly, it isn't an actual Kiwi Farm website, but a really hateful website whose sole purpose is to bully and harass autistic people under the ghost of calling out the locals. God, is this just like the evolution of the people that terrorized fucking Chris Chandler into a monster? Like, is this just their new game? Like fucking, because this is constant. This is like they always end up attacking. See, there's someone else's fucking. Or if you don't know what a lolcow is, the most infamous lolcows are Elliot Roger and Chris Chan. It wasn't really Chris Chan's fault though, really. Like if you looked at the like full comprehensive history videos, like he was being terrorized and led on when they could have just left him the fuck alone. Like he was autistic,
I went I
and not just autistic, he had developmental disabilities and PTSD from a really young age that stopped him from speaking until the age of 6. That
I
is
would not
shit to have gone through.
I would not be surprised if these people are Nazis. And I wouldn't be surprised if that one guy who's doing videos about me, God knows, 24/7 is trying to get a rise out of me, and he's not succeeding, and they're trying to make me into a Christian.
Well, I mean, they absolutely grasp autistic people when they can, and they like to go for the ones where they can manipulate and mess with them. Um, the thing is, I mean, this is one of the things that autism makes you a bit more analytical, yes, but and there are specific ways you can just piss an autistic person off and make them overreact and have a hypersensitive overload, and that's essentially neurotypical's go-to when dealing with autistic people.
Yeah, well, I would not be surprised if it's members of the fandom menace that are part of this thing that try to do that. But anyway, I want to get back to the subject that we were talking about.
I actually there's so one thing though. Rayman Pixar is speaking good things, but African American is an assimilative term. They are all Africans, all in one, stand together. African American is a term that America is gifted onto them so they don't be called blacks anymore, as they stop them from being called the N word to be called blacks, and the progression forward is to be recognized for what they truly are, and that is African people. I mean, African American. So here's a fun thing. So African American, the way that this is utilized within the common knowledge of society. Um, uh, so if you're a poor African American, you're fucking dirty African to people. That's the way they see them. But then if you're a rich African American, you're an American. You're a true patriot, a true citizen. Slap the white man badge on you. You're in the club. Like that's like it's a very sort of conform to the a labor aristocrat African American, conform to the cultural hegemony of what's it bourgeois control over African people within capitalist society. And it's very important to look because Gramsci, when he goes on about the cultural hegemony, he speaks mainly of the mechanisms and tools that they use. But you've got to look at the disposal they have of a labor aristocracy they didn't have in the time of Gramsci. The Cold War was. Everyone goes, oh, the Cold War, it stressed them out, it stressed them out, it stressed them out. Yeah, but did you see what they did with the Cold War? They made a massive labor aristocracy. They put themselves in the safe zone for fucking 25, 30 years. Like, they knew that if they're going to do summer, they need to pack it in at the fucking end, coming out on the high note, that they've got something that can support the empire by having this massive class that is tied to the war machine. It's just one thing Gramsci gets into that does link it to the points I'm getting to here. The labor aristocracy is intrinsically tied to the military industrial complex, which was, if I remember rightly, Gramsci was the person who initially coined the term
I
military-industrial complex.
I don't. I think that's a topic good better
Because
for another
no, because
stream.
everyone accounts that to Eisenhower as a one.
I think that's a topic for another stream because this is getting off topic.
It was a small point on something that was posted in the comments.
Well, I can't comment what it's like to be disabled and being LGBTQ and being disabled is hell. But I can't explain in detail what that is like because I'm not LGBTQ and I don't have that experience. Maybe someday I could bring an LGBTQ person on to explain what it's like to be disabled and LGBTQ. But I can only speak from my personal experience living in
From
California.
people I've known, they constantly get like associated with their entire being of them just being insane. That's normally the driving force for discrimination against these people. To disregard their sanity as people, and I mean, fucking that hits like a brick. Don't think people understand that when people suffer with disability, like let's go for learning disabilities for example, when people suffer from them, they still feel and understand emotions like fucking human beings. Like it still fucking hurts when you fucking treat them like a dickhead. Like they're not fucking toys just because they fucking got problems. Like they fucking can't just mess with people. And you can't think
Well,
that, oh, it's the internet, so you're far away enough that you can fucking manipulate their life. Like Jesus, who the fuck do you
well,
think you are?
well. One of these days, I would like to talk about, you know, how special ed education is child abuse, but that's not the stream for that. That could be its own stream.
I'd be happy to comment on that.
But I don't know if I have much left to say. But for my experience in living in California, yes, we America, but that doesn't really amount to much when our finance is, you know, to the point where we might as well live in a poorer part of the country because our financial power is non-existent. We can't live in that many cities, and if we
Can't even
do,
own your own place. Like think about it like that. You can't even own your own place because it's too expensive. You have to end up bunking up with other people when it comes to it.
and we're forced to like accept shittier and shittier conditions. Like if we're fortunate to be in a place that I'm currently living at now, that could easily be taken away from you with a
Yeah,
drop
that's
of
a
a hat.
rarity. Normally, you end up in a place with a fucking someone who's. And I'm not even disrespecting them because they might not even be a bad person, but someone who's smoking crack down the downstairs room, and someone who's fucking wazzing it up with either a bit of weed because it would probably be me, or someone who's fucking going full down with the fucking opiates. You're gonna end up in a harsh place. Like this is the thing I actually wanted to mention. You fucking reminded me. Well, I've reminded myself through you reminding me to ramble on to stuff, but disabled people. Okay, so one of the things I hate about drug discrimination is it ends up really poisoning the disabled community because the majority of people who are on the streets who are lumping, who are taking a lot of drugs, tend to be people who are disabled. They're fucking struggling. I mean, some of the largest components of homeless alcoholics are male people who suffer with um, what's it the disabilities. A lot of it cognitive disabilities. It's a way of coping with the excess stress, likely from things like neurological divergency and other things like that.
Eh,
I mean,
eh,
you got to remember as well, like these older people who are in their 40s and up, who would have been spotted for autism back in the day. They had some nasty fucking treatments for them. They were not treated like fucking. I mean, we're still not fucking. They're still not the most respectful fucking industry of things, but they treat you like fucking golden boys now compared to how they treat people back then. I mean, there was a time where they were putting fucking autistic people on hallucinogenics. Fucking. But no, yeah, no. The disabled community has a lot of difficulties to go through, and to cope with that, drug usage ends up being a crutch. I mean, I was fucking blasting ecstasy a fair bit when I was homeless. It fucking helped. I was on the streets in the middle of the fucking winter with a fucking chronic pain, chronic fatigue condition. I didn't fucking think I was gonna fucking do all too well. I did all right, and fucking I wasn't on them all the time, but when I did have them, they were fucking helpful.
Well,
You know, my dealer could let me have a tab. That was always useful.
the most vulnerable people to consumerism are, autistic people, because and being disabled, because things suck so bad that getting it, you know, the reason why a lot of us buy a lot of things is because we live in a shit situation, and our escape is whatever we have, whether it's drugs, video games,
There's
music.
piles of cassettes around me. I'm just like staring at horror and laughing as I'm talking about this. I'm like, yeah, cassettes, cassettes, more
It just
cassettes.
okay. Not to mention, I think a community that's vulnerable the most to resorting to escapism are autistic people.
Well, especially if you go through trauma. So here's the thing I learned. Trauma that would normally cause PTSD will cause further dissociative identity disorder with autistic people because of the hypersensitive reaction to things and how overbearing it is in the younger ages. I mean, it's actually one of the reasons why people mistake autistic people to be emotionally insensitive. It's actually during the younger ages, it's really hard for them to handle their emotions. So you get two different types of autists: the one who have grown out of the full 100% dissociation phase, so they can't turn off from it, and the others that still have that child dissociation that will eventually disappear at some point in their life, but they've managed to latch onto it more. And I feel there's a nurture element to that because I feel you see more of that tendency in people that don't have much experience in life and grow up in that sort of shelled environment where they can not have to engage with people enough to break out of the shell of individualistic um, mentality, and so you get the big disparity between how people operate. Those that go against it, and there's a lot of people in the aristocracy that do it. I see a lot of class traitors that are like this. It's the empathic hypersensitivity of autism that ends up driving them to a point where they can't deal with how dishonest the people typically are around them. They can't deal with how rabid and mindless people seem to be, while also being incredibly intelligent and book knowledge. It's fucking the the uh the fucking the labor aristocracy is a vicious sort of place, especially when you want to step out of line. And when I ever speak with anyone who's fucking what's it in the labor aristocracy who's turning against it, I mean, there was a guy I used to know, the old Bolsheviks, who was like, he's not even like someone I'd say is like the prime example of a fucking great communist. He's a nice geezer, a sound lad, a respectful lad. Spend enough time with him, you could make a fucking great communist out of him, probably, yeah. Good class traitor if you got enough time with him. But, I think that's because he could recognize flaws in himself if you give him enough time, and he's a good lad. But this is the thing is that, he found that in the environment he was in, as soon as he started to gain some form of consciousness of how class is organized in society and where he is in a really awkward privileged position, which considering how hard it is for a lot of aristocrats to accept their privilege, to kind of respect someone who will, I'll give him that. But it's like, and Wagon is like, when you're dealing with people and you discuss with people, you mention something in any sort of form, left form, even if you're not even mentioning any buzzwords, they are massively rabid against it. They don't want to fucking hear it. It's not like you hear from like lower aristocrat or working class families that don't live in these gated communities. The ones that are, and he worded that himself. I'm not putting words in his mouth. He said gated community.
Well,
Um,
here's speaking of
but
gated communities. I visited the area that I lived like for 7 years, like last last night, and I was actually shocked on how unrecognizable the area was under a short amount of time that I've left. Like
damn.
you have almost an entire area of apartments, new ones, and it's I see it as the class dynamic changed drastically.
Oh yeah, no one
Where
can afford houses. No one can even afford to rent fucking houses in California for that fucking rent.
where
So
where
flats are needed.
where you have an expensive apartment buildings which are for upper middle class people. Then you have the neighborhood that I live with people that are like poor working class.
I always like I know what kind of area you're talking about. It's the sort of area where some of them may have even managed to have like one of their family members got to own the house in like the 60s or the 70s because it's that old of a fucking neighborhood, and you'll get them, some of them, like, I'm not even trying to disrespect, I'm showing respect here, like some of them will be fucking taking some of the like hardcore drugs to deal with difficulties they've got, because this comes again into the gender culture, especially a lot of these more 40, 50-year-old blokes who have grown up in a system that didn't have room for them to not fucking work their asses off, and they will work their asses off and be a fucking raving drug addict. I got hats off to that, like fucking A. You got the lumpin award of respect there, like fucking hell, top shit.
Well,
Someone who can turn around and say, yeah, you know what, I do what I fucking want to do with my spare time, but I work hard to fucking do it. Like, I got all the respect in the world for that. All the
well,
respect in the world.
what makes the area that I lived at a huge walking contradiction is you have a neighborhood full of poor people, yet across the street from that neighborhood you have middle class people.
Uh,
It's a
yeah.
contradiction.
So this is something that I noticed that they try and do. They try and do this little mingling stuff, but you guys seem to be doing it the opposite. A small middle class portion and a big work. We're doing it the other way. So what they're doing is they've built this new estate, and the council had the rights to the land. They still have the rights to the land. They only leased it. They didn't sell it. Um, but if the development goes well enough, they probably will just try and turn around to Red Row and be like, "You want to bring rent for a price and no difficulties in 99 years." It is a 99-year lease. I think it's at 94 now, but it's 99-year lease. Actually, no, it'd be less because they got the lease way before they started construction, and it'd have fucking started from when they bought it. They should have started sooner. They got more time out of it. But what's it? Pretending that 99 years is not a fucking shit ton of time and capitalism will end before that's over. The council had the rights to the land. They could have built a housing estates and small blocks on there that were council that would have helped people out, but instead they're like, yeah, do you know what? We'll sell this to this company because we're still making some social housing because legally they have to build. I think it's like 20% or 30% social housing. It might not even be that much. I might be overjarring it, but I don't want to underball it either because I feel that it's better to be a bit over than be a bit under on a statistic when you spitballing with something you can't quite fucking picture. But there's not many social housing compared to these private houses, and a lot of these houses are going for 600,000 fucking pounds.
Well, it's just, you know, these presidents of these apartments, they don't build them for people to live in. They do it to increase the value of, of the property around it, and which as a result it affects the, price of all the housing in that area, which pr- prices people further and further, out of the market. Which
I would like to say though that pounds undermines the value of what they're selling these houses at. I'll put it into dollars. It's about $900,000
is just California is
in a town. This is not a city. This is a town in the middle of the Midlands.
well, where I live, the county that I live is becoming unlivable. If you're disabled, you have to have a government program in order to fucking live in any of these fucking places, because if you aren't disabled, you'll be homeless. And that's the freaking paradox here. It's like we're given the illusion of choice when we really don't. All I ask is for a roof over my head and to have some control, of my living space, but I don't. I'm constantly reminded that this living space that I live is not really mine. It's not really a right. It's a privilege that I could be revoked at any time. That's what it's like to be disabled. Like
It's like
everything that you have, it's not a right. It's a privilege.
certainly when you look at the rest of the world, I always think about this. It's like I got brothers and sisters in my own country that are on the street, disabled or not, going through a harsher struggle than me. And then I've got, you know, especially considering that I've now been able to speak with people from some of these countries. You know, I've fucking the vast. fucking brothers and sisters of the world who are being bombed, gassed, shot, dragged out of their homes, beaten, raped, bludgeoned, skinned, everything from the fucking book of fucking sins, you know. And we've even had fucking we had what's his name, Julian Assange, who we fucking I need to do a fucking when I dealt with fucking A&E, I need to do the Julian Assange solidarity thing because that's gonna be a good idea. We've not been talking enough about him because we've not been talking about him at all, and that's bad things because he's you know he revealed that the American and the British Army were fucking molesting, they were fucking raping, and they were killing civilians in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I think
Video footage.
we should save that for a Julian Assange stream, actually. But but what you're saying, isn't too far off, and we should discuss continue that discussion when we cover Julian Assange. But
Yes,
anyway, it's I would not be doing this stream late at night
I've
where
been
I'm
up for
at,
36 hours.
but because of the the experience I had today, I had to do it because I'm just pissed off and angry that as a disabled person, I'm constantly being told I have a choice when I really don't, or being
Yeah,
constantly
you had
told,
the choice when you were born to choose not be disabled. Why didn't you see that on the fucking menu?
or being told that these people that they have my back. It's like, oh, really? When I'm being told of being discharged from a program because of a situation that was out of my control, it's like it's bullshit.
Yeah, it's always easy to blame the fucking disabled guy. And what's it? Even though you're a bit older than me, you probably still get this problem. When you're under the age of fucking 50 and disabled, you just don't seem to get the same respect if someone is older and disabled. No,
It,
they
it
should still get more respect, but it's not about the same level of respect. I mean, the same kind of respect. Like, a lot of the time you're treated like you're not fucking anything wrong with you. I mean, I fucking, you know, I've been reluctant from it for a long time because what's it? For the most part, I can deal with a bit of fucking walking here and there, but having a walking aid would be really useful. I ask occupational therapists for it when they come around, and they try and turn around and tell me I don't need one when I've just asked for one. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? You've not even assessed my capacity to move. You've just come into my fucking yard and I've sat down on my bed and you're telling me that you know how I fucking move about. Fucking and the main reason I need it is for fucking fatigue and fucking joint stiffness. My fucking they don't fucking get it, so they come back again and they ain't got it. And I tell them, yeah, okay, we'll come back and bring it again. They just haven't even come back. They just vanished. I mean, they managed to come back within a week when they fucked up with the fucking shit before. But other than that, they've fucking vamooshed off and nothing to be heard of them. So they're people that fucking should be on my list of neglect of care because I'm asking for a specific aid that would help me with being able to do long distance. And if I can do long distance properly without fucking hurting myself, then I can go out on more enjoyable walks and I won't be holed up in the fucking home all the time. Fucking the only time I go out is when I have to fucking go out. That's it. If I don't fucking have to go out, I ain't fucking going out. And I'd like to be able to go out more, but you fucking when you're in agony all the time and you don't have a fucking good assistance for it, and I've tried using an umbrella for shit like that before, and it's not a good idea. It just hurts your fucking hand and your wrist because it's not fucking designed for that sense of ergonomics. Don't try this at home, uh, or outside the home or anywhere else. But uh, no, you know, when you're in agony all the time just to move about, and then the wind can cause you pain, the cold can cause you pain, um, fucking what's it? If the rain's fucking heavy enough, that can fucking hurt. Like fibromyalgia causes 4 to 7 times pain sensitivity. So you you're sensing pain like fucking way heavier than everyone else is. So you know when you get like a pinch to you when the breeze hits you, it feels more like a fucking brick hitting you when you fucking got fibromyalgia, and that depends on how bad your fibromyalgia is as well. There are some people who have it worse than me, where fucking going out in the fucking cold is not a thing they could do even when wrapped up. And you know those people are normally in their 40s and their 50s and have been going through this shit for years, and trauma after trauma has driven it down because of the domino effect of fibromyalgia. Um, Type 1 fibromyalgia is where it's on a constant because of the way the domino effect has been so rapid in its development. My causings come from many different issues, but I'd cite that the main ones would be growing up from a very young age in an uninsulated room, where if it was freezing temperature, it would fucking hit like a brick. I remember always having to curl up into a tiny fucking ball to keep myself warm at a really young age because it was too cold in there. And I always used to hate um, the fact that I couldn't spread my legs out until after a very long while of sitting on my bed because my bed would be as cold as a fucking sleeping bag in the tent, sort of thing. And you know, if you had a dehumidifier on the window in the summer, come the winter, it'd be frozen ice. The other thing was having to deal with my old man being a fucking bit of an angry geezer, to put it lightly. Um, Having autism didn't help because it didn't help make me be the most sort of stable in responding to this. But it's not really my fucking fault. I didn't choose to be autistic. There is no menu. I was lying earlier. But the what's it? You gotta have a running gag. But the situations arose with not just the physical abuse, but also the verbal and psychological abuse that come out that put me in a lot of situations where so there's a action that your body does where fight or flight has failed, where you go into a tremor. That's essentially when your body is given up and thinks you're gonna fucking die. And that happened to me a lot from a very young age, and that's what caused fibromyalgia to develop on quicker. I mean, I had the genetic imprint on me from family that had it. I mean, my mum's family come from a family of fucking factory workers, many of them Irish factory workers. But the what's it? Also, many of them Anglo-Liverpudlian fucking factory workers. Some of them also Brummies, but we don't like to talk about the Birmingham influence. Scummy fuckers. Nah, I don't hate Birmingham that much, but I live close enough to them that they're a fucking nose. So yeah, fuck.
I don't know how many streams I'm going to be doing on the disabled struggle, as many as I feel is necessary. Because one thing about the disabled that affects us is the treatment of the homeless. Because people who aren't homeless, who have a house, just looking you know a little ragged up because of your clothing could treat you as the same as a homeless person.
No, do you know what I want to say? Someone who's been homeless myself. Do you know what? To make a homeless person's day, you don't have to fucking give them something. You do know that. If you just show them some fucking respect and be nice and have a decent conversation, it's all alright. But you know what? It doesn't hurt to have a fucking cigarette on hand to pass them a ciggy. Or have a fucking bottle of water to pass them a bottle of water so they can keep hydrated, or a sandwich or something. It doesn't hurt. It does not hurt. It's a couple of quid, and what have they got compared to you? I mean, they've got less than I've got, and I ain't fucking rich. Fucking 5 grand a year. Fucking hell, I'm really fucking pulling it with that. Fucking take over the fucking world with 5 grand a year. Fucking hell. Especially with the fucking shitty fucking buying power of the fucking British pound. Fucking
and
can't get shit.
and look at in the homeless population. Think about it for a second. What are most homeless people? They're disabled. they're
I
on
mean, they're
they're,
disenfranchised is the better term.
they're that too, but they're both disenfranchised and disabled. I mean, most of these people, and I've seen it happen, they can't function. They can't hold a job.
It just reminds me of the video with the geezer where he's like, "Government for the people, but the people are retarded."
It's just like if you look at some
But
of
in the
the, a lot
good
of the
way.
a lot of the homeless people I see, I can't help but feel sad because they given up on life.
Uh,
Like
what's it?
they look dead inside.
Do you know what it is? This is why I say talking to him's not a bad idea because you know what's one of the things that really hits you when you're fucking homeless? You're invisible. That's how it feels. It's not even that like people are treating you with disgust. It's like people just don't want to even acknowledge that you exist. You are a fucking void. You know, unless you fucking do something fucking stupid, then everyone's fucking there to laugh. But fucking hey, you fucking what's it? You're a void. That people don't want anything. You know, families when you're walking by will all fucking shuffle away as if you're like some sort of fucking violent crook. You know, everyone in the winter as well. You end up everyone looking shabby because we're all wearing multiple layers of tracksuits and coats and everything, and we're all having to carry some of our bags on us because the night shelter can only have one of your bags with them. I did cheat a bit and tied two bags together, but you know, I only got away with it because I was disabled, not because I was sneaky enough with it. Um, they were a blessing to me. The church helped me. Communists didn't help me, but the church helped me. So when communists want to turn around and be like, "Oh, we're the savior of the people," but fuck religion, maybe you should turn around and take a few lessons from them, though, because for whatever beliefs that they have that I don't fucking agree with, and whatever things they fucking do that I fucking agree with, it's all a fucking mixed bag of fucking worms in it with this shit. Um, the fucking end for the fucking degree is none of these people understand what they're talking about whenever they criticize these religions. It's normally off some personal experience they've had with some deluded fucking sensibility of it. Like, actually, just suck your mum.
But that's a
That's my
topic for
response.
a different time.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah, I know. I tied it off with the best British comeback. Suck your mum.
well, do you have any final comments?
Um, Suck your dad too. No, I'm joking. I would like to say absolute solidarity with not just the disabled brothers and sisters, not just in the first world but around the world, but the African, what's it, the African movements entirely, like of the left, of the not even just Marxian, the left wing African movements in America, and even in Africa itself, have always been very conscientious of the disabled people's struggle, and that needs respect. Um, even though I do believe a matter of respect should be given to the natives too, but I don't know enough. I just think I remember hearing something in passive glance, and I don't want to say something that I might be wrong on there. Um, but what's it? And I guess to really point some of out is that one thing that needs to be a stream discussion that I would like to get an African who lives in England on to speak on is the neglect that occurs because of American exceptionalism of European Africans that were also brought over by chattel slavery.
That'd be a good stream to do. Now,
Absolutely. From the fourth
my
world's mouth.
my final thoughts is the only people that seem to care about the disabled struggle are anarchists, the disabled, not people like myself, Maoists. I would even argue like you know religious people like Jews, Muslims, Christians, not the Protestant Christians or the um what are they called, Mormons. They could go to fucking hell. They're the only ones
I'm
that seem
just
to
the
they
thing
don't
I'm thinking though. I'm waiting for someone to like. Why is my alarm leaving me alone? I'm waiting for someone to turn around and say, that like what's it? This is biased because we're disabled.
well we're I'm speaking from experience. I don't
That's the
claim
bias
to I
speaking.
don't I don't claim to speak for disabled people of color. I'm speaking from my experience living in the golden state of California, so-called golden state, about the rights that disabled people have.
So,
The
is the
rights are
thing
the
I want to actually
rights are
point out on what you're getting at with yourself though before you move on to the rights is that so the thing that's really sort of interesting in the way that things balance out, we have, I mean, we do have similar disabilities, we also have different disabilities to deal with, but we balance out because your years of experience really fucking knock up high on that. You've got fucking years of having to deal with this shit, so you're absolutely loaded to the deck. The seesaw don't fucking budge.
well it's just my experience of dealing with this for all my life, and I'll probably I'll revisit this topic many times, but everything that the disabled go through all starts from childhood. It all starts there. Why we suffer, from low self-esteem, high suicide rates, why we feel worthless or
Oh, autism
inadequate.
has a higher suicide rate than gender dysphoria, if I remember rightly. Fucking, or it's the same. It's either the same or it's higher, but I can't remember. I really hope I've not disrespected any trans fucking comrades, but it's somewhere around there. It's one of the worst suicide rates for a neurological slash mental health condition. Um,
And
Other than
the
literally you losing your mind, of course.
and the way that autistic people are forced to live under capitalism is not natural. Where we have to be something that we're not.
When I finished watching the comprehensive history on Chris Chan, I am actually going to do a video explaining how people don't understand what the fuck has gone on there and how fucked up this situation really is and how much it shows the idiosyncrasy. I can't say the word, but when things synchronize in a random fashion, the idiosynchronicity. There we go. Of the what's it the petty labor aristocracy, the upper working class and the labor aristocracy to turn around and just literally ignore the fact that the reason why that kid went around and did fucked up shit literally from the start was because of the way he was being manipulated by trolls playing on his autism and his developmental disorders. The guy was just a fucking geezer who couldn't fucking grow up properly, so he was fucking in his own element, and they went and fucking turned him into a fucking sex pest. He was just a sex pesty geezer because he's a fucking he's a fat American. What do you expect? Fat American in the middle class? Yeah, he's probably fucking gonna be a bit sex pest. Virgin with rage was what he called himself, which is way to get yourself fucking laid, mate. But you know, the it started off with them doing signs and shit, and the next thing you know, motherfuckers were fucking pressurizing him with these fake girlfriends that were
I
manipulating his mind and trying to get him to embarrass and
I
disgrace his name.
I,
He
I
could never get a job again because every time he tried to get a job, everything that had been posted on him, the nudes and all this other stuff, um, uh, some of the weird shit he does that I'm not even gonna mention because I don't feel like I know it's fucking up the way what he
I
was doing, but it's
I
just I feel like I'm
I
terrorizing him at this
I
point.
I
Like,
actually I actually think you should save that for a stream.
but I was gonna say that there needs to be a full discussion on this shit because this is fucked up.
Well, one things that as a disabled person that we all suffer from is ableism. Like that's one of the worst things we go through, and I think I don't have much left to say except fuck anyone that actually claims that I'm not working class or people like me aren't working class or that disabled issues don't matter. I'm sorry, but you're not going to win you know the emancipation of the working class if you ignore important issues like
Uh,
hold
do you
on,
know how a lot of these?
hold on, like women's rights, trans rights, um LGBT, gay and lesbian rights, whatever, um any other things I may not know, and the disabled. If
Oh,
you're
you're
not
adding
for any
multiple facets to it now.
all
Shit.
all of these things are connected. All of our struggles are connected. I mean,
Yeah.
and
No, you've actually
oh,
expanded me into a really good point though. So, the way that these aristocrats see it, they are telling the truth. It doesn't matter to them, and some of them, a lot of them are transphobic, but some of them that even aren't. And the way that they look at trans people, disabled people, colonized people, they wanna white knight them. They don't think they're capable of fighting their own struggle. They think that they need fucking white aristocrats of all people to save them. Like fucking hell, fucking melons. Like, what are they gonna do? Fucking scare away the bourgeoisie with math? fucking tossers.
Well,
The point that you get at is that this is what really brings these groups together: the LGBT, the disabled, the colonized, the lumpen proletarianized white people as well get brought into this because they eventually end up becoming post-white, is what they tend to call themselves, or a lot of them go into the anti-racist skinhead movement. Which is a left-wing skinhead movement that rose up in the 80s, but I might be wrong on that. Robert's gonna fucking yell at me. But what's it? This yeah, no, fuck, brain fog, uh, bastard.
well, all these things are connected, and there's people in all these groups that are disabled. There's disabled trans people, just like there's disabled, gay and lesbians, and there's disabled, indigenous, and there's disabled, you know, new African people. It's like we are all part of the same struggle, and this is all connected. And you cannot just say it's not a working class issue. It clearly is.
Well,
And
anything that's a
no,
lumpen proletarian issue is a working class issue. The lumpen proletariat are the working class.
no, no class reductionists, the Khrushchevites, the Dangus, the Trotskyists, they're not gonna fucking tell me that my struggles don't matter because they fucking do.
They don't just reduction, so they selectivize as well because they won't respect the lumpen proletariat as a part of the working class and won't even respect the lumpen situation properly and will put lumpen aristocrats and lumpen bourgeoisie in the lumpen proletariat, which I find hilariously immature.
Well, I don't care,
But no, here's
and
the
I'm
thing though. Here's the thing is that what's it? These aristocrats. So the way that they're looking at it, oh, you fucking interrupt me. I lost my fucking point.
um
Shit.
okay. The thing is, and this is gonna be controversial. It might be. I don't give a fuck what Marx, Engels, or whoever thought of the lumpen. I don't fucking give a
Oh,
fuck
that was a good thing to
because
interrupt me with. I like that.
it's like I don't give a fuck because for one, the
They were
just because
bourgeois. That's the
okay,
fucking number one.
well, no, for one, you know, they do nothing about the lumpen struggles, and two, they're fucking human beings. They're not fucking gods. They're infathomable. And I think Marxists need to stop treating Marxism as a religion and treat it like a fucking science.
This is the thing. Marx is like calling the lumpen all scabs and drug addicts and all that. Well, he was being a pisshead. Like he was literally fucking leeching off the bank of Engels to fucking fund his alcohol addiction. Fucking, oh yeah, they're fucking rampaging drug addicts. Meanwhile, in the Legion of Marx, fucking drinking fucking, what's it, cognac all day long. Fucking
Which is
mad lad.
okay. Here's the thing: I respect the contributions of Marx and Engels, but I don't treat I treat them as human beings that had
Engels'
shit.
contributions were better.
They were human beings that had you know shit positions and good positions, just like everybody else, and they shouldn't be treated, as as a holy figures. Like I love Stalin. He's probably probably one of my favorite Marxists, but he was wrong on a lot of stuff.
There's a thing I want to. So Jared, so kind of yes, kind of no. So is the thing you could still say that it's the analysis that's wrong. It's Marx lumping everything as lumpen proletariat rather than looking at okay, well there are people who are at the lowest point in society, and if you look at a lot of first world societies, they're normally colonized peoples or immigrants who are flushed out of common space. I mean, society has been very um, uh, white supremacal within the European world in the way it operates and organizes itself. Especially those who are descendant of slavery, they are completely washed out in society, and they would be in a lumpenized position because the way that we've updated and fixed Marx's ridiculously idiotic, scarily French sounding rhetoric is that lumpen proletariat, and I'm just jesting with the French stuff, but the lumpen proletariat is better described as the disenfranchised working class. The lumpen, then you can better position the society. Because if you look at like mafia and all that, well, mafia bosses ain't lumpen proletariat. They're more lumpen bourgeoisie, maybe sometimes lumpen aristocrat, but upper sector, or
Well,
lumpen petit bourgeoisie to be more definitive with it. But you got essentially the four sections. You got your lumpen proletariat, your lumpen aristocrat, and your lumpen petit bourgeois, and your lumpen bourgeoisie. Although a lot of the time, lumpen bourgeoisie are just bourgeoisie that are engaging in the fucking lumpen market, because illegal market just as good as legal market. That'd be the way it be.
just because you're not a communist doesn't mean you can't believe in the ideas of socialism. There's plenty of comrades that I know that aren't communists and are socialists.
Yeah, what's it? NASA has its flaws, but look into NASA. If you want to look into like non-communist socialists, he's a really great place to start. Um, and you'll
I
understand why we talk about how patriotism makes sense for third world and fourth world people. It does not make sense for first world settlers or for colonial first world states. Like if so, let's say this England having patriotism, that makes sense. It's English patriotism supporting the English nation and the English people. British patriotism is a Scottish English union that exploits the other half of Scotland, Cymru, Cornwall, and fucking the islands, and Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland that's still dominated by British capital. Now, Haz might want to fucking make his weird, crazy fucking sub stories, but if you want to look to an actual situation where the British fucked the Irish freedom up and had their companies dominate the Irish capitalist system that ended up forming out of the ashes of the socialist republic that was formed, the Britain still has a massive control over the Irish economy, and the EU uses Ireland as a tax haven bitch because it knows that now that Ireland has been disarmed with the Good Friday Agreement, Ireland can't fucking what's it break away from the EU because Britain could just invade and take it in a fucking week. It's got no army. What could they fucking do? Hopefully, Inla gets their shit together.
and that's another thing you got to take in consideration. Communists do not have a monopoly on what is and what isn't socialism.
Thank you for saying that. The
There's
Marxism doesn't have a monopoly on saying what is and isn't communism. That's another thing people don't get.
but that's a topic
Communism
for
is a Christian philosophy.
a different time. That's beyond the scope of this stream. But anyway,
Time for 6 hours of discussion.
but anyway, I said everything I wanted to say about the. Honestly, I'm gonna be revisiting the disabled struggle probably many times in the future because Marxists aren't talking about this topic enough, and it needs to be discussed because this is a struggle that is barely talked about, just like the struggle of women are also a one that's freaking downplayed
I mean,
by
if anything,
these.
like Trav says some stupid shit, but when he says that there's something about the Marxist community that just scares off chicks, he's not wrong. It may be the weebs. If we get rid of the weebs, we'll see what happens then. But no, genuinely, it's the level of respect and the very chauvinistic attitude that exists within these communities. A lot of
I
fucking people that are coming into this are just like, fuck that. It's not just women, it's men that's the only way too. It's just fucking A.
and
Uh,
if I don't. I'm sorry, but didn't Mao once said women hold half the sky?
Yeah, they do hold half the sky. Now, what's it? It turns out that they do a lot more for humanity, so it's more like they hold two-thirds of the sky, but no one likes to give them that credit because, like, what's it? Man has to be at least as strong or stronger than woman, otherwise spooky. But when you are literally the cradle of fucking next born generation and you give fucking birth to life, I think you are more important. They're like not for matriarchal reasons. They just mean that on a general basis, there's a semblance to you that makes you a much more biologically important women of biologically important being to human existence. Like if we were gonna be like let's say if we were going to be asexual in our reproduction, while a woman's body is more perfected to be able to be reimagined in that structure. Like if we were to evolve like that, we wouldn't have a male body because we need a womb. We've got to be able to carry our own child. We're not fucking bacteria. We don't fucking change mitosis. Fucking, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Fucking,
Well,
wouldn't that be your kid and your brother?
well,
That'd
here's the
be fucking
thing.
weird. But it's not incest because you with mitosis, you split like a cell.
Humankind would be able to survive if you cut out half of the male population. Not so much if you do it for women, because women, women have a small amount of time that they could, carry children compared to men.
This
And
reminds me of like a meme where someone left a comment on this trans YouTuber I watched stream, and I think it was actually before they even come out, and it was what's it? All you want to do is force feminize men? Or it's like, yep, you know what? Only 15% of men will stay as men. The rest of them are all going to be turned into femme girls.
well, well, it's just
uh,
men could have children like almost like up, very until in their late life. Women are lucky that they can do it in in their early 50s. Because I'm not a woman, so I don't know the things that they go through.
but if we're going to speak about women, we should go to the great philosopher Haas, the ultraviolet. Women hold up two holes. Haas. Um, yeah, no, people need to go and watch that fucking funny moment where Haas seems to believe that there are only two holes on a woman in the lower section, the pee pee hole and the poo poo hole. Now, mind you, this is a man who I think is 30. I don't know. He may be in his mid 20s, but he's certainly a man of age and spoke like a child and had the understanding of anatomy like a child. Like, did they bring him up in a fucking shed in the middle of the fucking Nevada desert or something? Fucking all
Well,
he had for fucking education was Fallout on 2 on the hardest
well,
difficulty with
well,
the encounter rate turned up.
well. With all seriousness, women need to be treated with respect. They really do, because without women, the communist movement cannot be successful. I
I
mean,
guess, well, without fucking
okay,
everyone together that's standing,
okay.
we gotta
Since
come together.
we're getting close to the end. We're pretty much getting close to the end. I've been saying that for like almost 20 minutes now.
Yeah,
But I'll just
we're having the autism time where the end tries to come, but it fucking just
well,
bounces off.
I'm just okay. Here's the thing. Why are fascists able to get women to join their cause despite fascism being against women?
I'm waiting for the incel Marxists to be like, "Oh, but you can trick you." It's like, no, they're not. Like most fascists look like fucking
Well,
Himmler on a bad day.
I'll tell you why. And it's as sad and pathetic truth as this is. Fascists treat women better than the so-called Marxists do.
Like,
This
kind of. I mean, they it's until they've got them in their sort of grip. I mean, a lot of the so when fascists work with women, they normally try and get some form of a relationship going on so they can get some control.
well,
When they
okay,
get that relationship going on, they turn into abusers. So
okay,
it's sort of
well,
they know how to
obviously,
kiss the cheek.
that's the case. But I'm saying on the surface, the reason why
Oh
women are
well,
far
fascists are great at doing surface level shit. That's their fucking specialty.
that's the reason why they are able to get women easier than communists is because fascists, are able to actually do the superficial, oh, we care about you. This is for the nation. But behind closed doors, they treat women like cattle. The problem with communists, and I hate, and I'm just saying this, uh, there are a lot of that they're antisocial. They don't know how to talk to women.
Antisocial, they're anti-working class. Like fuck me.
They hold on.
You're talking working class phrases and expressions to them, and it goes over their head. And
Well,
they talk shitty stereotypes of working class people in ways that are massively demeaning. That the only way you'd ever get away with fucking saying it is if you come from those demographics, like proper fucking disrespectful shit. They see lumpin proletarians as fucking yobbos and drug addicts and thieves and crooks and anything that they can call a fucking mark of fucking Satan or whatever the fuck they're doing, following the Calvinist lies of bollocks. Fucking dickheads. America should be fucking set on fire. You can burn it.
now I don't think fascists treat women better than men do. It only appears that way because of what they do on the surface level.
It just, let's be
There's a
honest.
lot of fucking sexism and Marxism at the moment, so I don't know. I think we're on weirdly even grounds because the way some of these aristocrat types will speak about women, I wouldn't trust them alone with a woman. I think they'd end up fucking attacking them or fucking with the incels that are about as well that exist, and some of them even are communists. Oh fucking hell, one of them types of people end up raping someone or something. You don't want fucking them around a woman on their own. Like this is the issue is that because there's the internet is given accessibility for fucking absolute fucking dick shafts from the absolutely alienated from reality aristocracy, especially when you get to the higher sections, that we get some absolute loony bins claiming they represent this, that, and the other. And if you find you see with especially because America is now in the British state of the 1910s to 1920s, where it's starting to crumble. It's more like the 1920s, where it's more like the late 1920s, where it's really starting to crumble. But because of that, and because of the way that America is as well, um,
Well,
it's causing contradictions around these groups.
well, I this stream has been going on for long enough, and I'd actually like to finish my actual final words.
Yeah, fucking brain
Okay,
fog has bereft me
all right.
anyway.
the The disabled struggle is one of the most important struggles of our time because the disabled struggle, cross into other struggles, the struggles against the indigenous, the new African people, women, the LGBTQ community. We all are part of the same struggle, and all these things are connected. And anybody that actually tries to say that the only thing that matters is working class issues are fucking stupid and blind, because disabled issues are working class issues. We're the first ones that will suffer when naked fascism comes about in America.
That's another idea for a stream discussion is the mass amount of people who are working class disabled but don't have it diagnosed or reported, or they have it diagnosed but don't have any support and just work their asses off, because there's a lot of people that are like that.
And
A
not
lot
to
of them have to
mention,
jury rig themselves to survive.
we're the first ones let go. We are the first ones that that will be put into camps or just outright killed through other means. It's like it's the world is becoming a more dangerous place for the disabled, and
Especially comes to something with autism, because I mean an autism comrade mentioned something to me, and it's like the and I agreed with them. I've seen this pattern myself, but I wasn't too sure how to delineate it, and that's antisocial, like it's not like in the sense of being just antisocial, but I mean anti-societal tendencies rise up a lot more in autistic people. Now they can go either way, they go right or left, but it really depends on how much experience they have in life. If their experience is really jarred or blocked out, and they've not had the sense knocked into them, they tend to go very right wing, or at least chauvinistic enough that left wing is not going to cut it dry for their aristocratic necessities. They maybe left the aristocracy, but not so much for the proletariat. Or they just go right. They either go left or they go right, and what's it? Um, Fuck, where was I going? Where was I going? I was on a good point.
well,
But a discussion to be had. Um,
we we are also one of the first people that are targeted by the police. The police are more often than not are likely to harass us,
okay,
and
I remember now.
when we're more likely to be killed by the police if we are stopped by them, especially if we're black.
I
We
mean, what's it? There has been a time when my disability did save my ass with the police one time, but it was only because the only thing we were doing was smoking weed, and I fucking managed to just cover for it while we were bashing the suit off the wall because it wouldn't go out every time we were throwing it against the wall because we'd finished smoking it, and it was fun stuff.
being being disabled
But
could makes it difficult to find and hold a job. I mean,
but
all I mean
I
anyone that
remember what I
actually
was gonna say, and I'd like to just quickly finish it. So, what's it? The so with autism, Can't remember the autism mentioned to me, and I agreed with them that the distillation happens. That the autistic people's anti-societal tendencies, when it evolves on the left side, typically drives them towards communistic and revolutionary thought. The way that he described it is that there are a few who are like melons in the aristocracy who just sit as centrists, and they're just not even worth considering. I think he's being a bit harsh, but they are centrists, and centrists are basically not worth considering. So he's got a point. Um, but then you basically just get fascists and communists and some libertarians in between. But libertarians just falter into all the different places. Is he a fucking bougie fucking libertarian who just supports some weird fascist daydream? Is he some proletarian libertarian who's just as daydreamy as these fucking communists that think they can build a new America? Like it's all the same fucking daydreamy shit that you get from people that are caught up on Americanism. You just gotta break the shell. Uh,
Well, that I would prefer to I would like to finish my final thoughts, but without getting interrupted. Actually, all right. Now we're the first. Like I said earlier, we're the first to get fired, and when we're trying to look for a job, it is very difficult to get a job because if they find out you're disabled, they're likely going to pass you over, or if they find out after you got hired, they're likely going to fire you for not telling them that you have a disability. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And if you don't belong into a government program, getting a job is going to be almost impossible. The
there's some scummy jobs they'll give you, but
the
that's it.
the
They don't give you no respect.
you know the deck is stacked against us from the very start, and people don't know what that's like. And they these so-called libertarians, these you know personal responsibility types, they don't know what it's like to be disabled because they blame everything that you're going through as your own personal failing, and that's just not the case. But that's a topic for a different time.
But I mean, that's why I like the more grounded libertarian, because they're the ones that are like, wait, they're cutting the wrong bits of government and then expanding the wrong bits of government. Not that government is bad, and it's like, oh, they actually get it. Thank you. The Marxists have been blinded by just listening to what is the mainstream, which is very first world indeed.
It's just like no one's going to convince me otherwise. But the Maoists and anarchists are the only groups of people in the Marxist community or leftist communities you will say that talk about disabled issues, that care about disabled issues, because they recognize, rightfully so, that our struggles is the struggles of all working class people, because all of us eventually are going to be disabled, whether it's due a work injury or age.
I mean, a nice way to quickly chirp as well some solidarity and respect to Black Red Guard is I do completely agree with when he says that Marxists are above being merely just leftists. And that's a big problem with Marxists that seem to think Marxism is just leftism. There's that big difference between Marxism and leftism, sonny boy.
My final
We
words are actually going to be this, and these are my final words, actually, and I will end this stream. Long live the struggles of all workers everywhere. Long live the struggles of the disabled people who are struggling everywhere around the world. Death to fascism, death to imperialism. Long live the People's War.
death to America.
Death to every imperialist power.
Yeah, but it's fun to point out America. They like to be exceptionalists, so let them have their exceptionalism with
Anyway,
fire.
my last words for the stream: death to America.
Allah.